We've got another new nest though. Joe, can we have the song thrush, please? Look at that. Come on, I do love a song thrush. What I love most is the song of the song thrush, but it's a very pretty bird. So it's got a nest here. We know it's got young in it. It's brooding them, and hopefully throughout the course... Oh, was a bit fidgety there. Throughout the course of the weekend, look at those stripes beneath its eyes. Lovely yellow eye ring. Very pretty bird, the song thrush. Famed, of course, for using its anvil, smashing up stones. Beautiful blue eggs with little black spots on and a mud-lined nest. More of that next week.
Let's go. I mean, we've had a question here from Vanessa McKenzie that is about one of the camera that we started with, really. She says, I found cracked snail shells in my garden today. What would likely be eating them?
Well, you've answered that, haven't you, there with the thrush? Yeah.
So that would be the song thrush. Oh, here we go.
Oh, look
the
at
blue
that.
Song thrush in the late evening light. So what do these guys do when it comes to eating snails?
Well, they actually smash them against rocks to break open the shells. So it's almost like tool use in passerines, which is quite exciting to see, because obviously they don't want to eat the snail shell itself, and they break open the shell and swallow the snail.
They do. They have these things, we call them anvils, just like, you know, a blacksmith, and they'd be taking the snails to them, and they can be used for year upon year upon year by different song thrushes. There's actually a fantastic example I saw on social media of an old bottle, and the bottle is decades old, and it's laying on the floor of a woodland, and it is surrounded by snail shells, and it's from the old glassworks that stood there before the wood grew up, and the generations of song thrushes have used this glass bottle to smash open snail shells, which is very, very cool.
That's amazing. My challenge back to Vanessa then is to find the anvil.
Yeah, find the anvil. I mean, if you're seeing the snail shells, there's a very good chance that the rock is right next to it. Oh, hello, the badger's back.
We can catch up with our song thrush. Look at that. Bottom left, what a bird. Oh, song thrush. Good song, great song actually, but also a very good looking bird. Now, we introduced you to these last Thursday. Both of the adults have been feeding the young in that nest. Typical site for the song thrush. They're a bush nester, basically. This one's a couple of metres off the ground. What you can't appreciate is that from the outside that nest looks like a pile of grass. From the inside it's a beautiful dished, smooth, muddy cup. And it has those youngsters in, and they're being fed on a diet of, what should we call them, soft invertebrates, otherwise known as slugs by the looks of it. And here you can see they've still got those down tufts on their head. This was on Friday. Gape phalanges there, those yellow sides to the beak, which advertised that massive gape that they've got, saying to the adults, food here please, food here. And yet more slugs are being generously dispensed by the adults into there. It's a fantastic bird song thrush. A bit more rain now, but there was a storm this morning that had an impact on our song thrushes. But the female, who was brooding the young, did a brilliant job of turning herself into an avian umbrella and keeping the rain off. Just look at all of those droplets resting on her feathers there. Now, there's a misconception that it's the waxes, fatty acids and europygial oils that come from the preen gland that keep the feathers waterproof. But actually, that's not true. What they do is they keep the feathers in tip-top condition, flexible and structurally sound, and it's that makes them waterproof. Clearly did the job. Look at those chicks, all nice and dry, unlike the male bird that's bringing in some food for them there, who's got a right drenching. Look at that, and then she settles back down, having done a great job, as I say, of keeping them not just dry, but of course warm as well. We can go to them live now, and in the rain, maybe she's doing the same thing. No, not quite heavy enough. And there, look at those three heads pointing out.
Oh, that is cute. That is very sweet. Four
Another
little
head,
beaks.
yeah, just
Four
appeared
little
there.
beaks.
Look at that. Now, she will return pretty soon, I imagine, because the temperature is dropping, and these chicks are still big enough to be brooded. Oh, hold on, that's why she's dropped off. Look at that. There's a slightly soggy male bird that's come in and provided some food and taken away. Well, no, he didn't take it away. He ate the fecal sac. Perfect. But I'm sure she'll be back on them soon. As I say, temperature's dropping. They're still big enough to be brooded. She'll settle down for the night. And it's in the same bush as the song thrush. Let's go live to our song thrush now. Oh, that's another picturesque view. Look at that. Look how big the chicks are getting, Mick. There's no way that she's going to be able to brood those animals tonight, is there?
It's crazy.
Yeah, look at that. And look at that. The colours that they have are very similar to hers as well, aren't they?
When do you reckon they're going then?
Well, don't start that.
Don't start
never
that game.
going to get it right.
It'll be this week.
Oh, it's definitely. I mean, an early fledge could be tomorrow, certainly on Friday. So do keep your eyes on our cameras. Remember, they're on 10 until 10. Now, when I was talking about the song thrush nest the other day, I mentioned that it had a smooth mud cup on the inside of it. And here is a real song thrush nest. This one's been used. Don't worry, we haven't robbed one of those thrushes of this. So from the outside, it looks pretty much like a blackbird's nest. Same size, same proportions. But then look on the inside. That's how it is when they're using it. It's got that smooth cup in there. So what about the construction of this nest? Well, they're using that universal material that many birds use on the outside, and that is a structure, a scaffold, if you like, which is made up of roots, grass and twigs. That's providing the shape of it. That's what they put down first to build it. And then if you look here, you can see there's quite a bit of moss in it. And they put moss and finer grass in to act as insulation. And then lastly, the female, because it's the female that builds this nest, goes out and collects rotten wood and mud, which she cements together with her saliva to make this beautiful and very deep cup. Now, that's also there for insulation. And I've just come up with a theory, and my theory is that when she's incubating and brooding, I reckon she pretty much fits in that cup, and because it's got this smooth surface around the top, she might be therefore keeping the eggs and the youngsters in an airtight space, further improving the thermal capabilities of this nest.
So you mean like a Tupperware? So it'd be like a lid that fits on?
There's a thrush lid
Yeah.
on top.
Yeah.
It's not exactly what I was thinking, but, you know, something along those lines.
Let's look at another nest, should we? Let's go now to our song thrush nest. Now, we want to go to this one because they're going to start fledging any day now, aren't they?
I think you're right. I mean, you can see they've got, well, you can't really see, can you? But they've got their feathers and they're pretty big. I mean, they're spilling out of those nests, as you can see. So, yeah, I mean, Chris and I have got so many of them wrong this season, but I reckon they'll definitely be gone by the end of the week.
And do you know what? This nest has actually been made in the same blackthorn bush as the garden warblers.
Correct.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah. Oh, what's coming in? Is something coming? Oh, yeah, here we go. Is there a feed coming? Yeah, you know there's a feed coming in when all the beaks open, don't you? But, I mean, just look. They look exactly, well, not exactly like the adults, but they look very much like the adults now. In fact, when we first came to them, I thought it was the adult. Is that 2 sips I've had now of the gin and tonic?
So I think we're going to go and have a look at the tawny owl box now.
We've got to look at your favourite, haven't
Well,
we?
it is my
Come on. Here it is, there's Spud. That was on Saturday. Still looking up at that entrance. Remember, we left him on Thursday, flying out for the first time. I say flying, literally flying up to the exit of his box and being fed on the edge there. And obviously, he's been keen over the weekend to do that many, many times.
OK, so we've started with Spud, but now we're going to switch to a different species to continue the story. Cast your mind back to the song thrushes that we were showing you. Not last weekend, but the weekend before, they were quite small, being tended by both of the parents in the nest, doing very, very well. Of course, by the end of the week, Friday last, they'd grown quite considerably. As you can see, they were on the brink of fledging. And in fact, on Friday evening, one of them got a bit fidgety and thought, I've had enough of this nest, and made that little leap into the great unknown there in the background. One of the others thought, well, I might go too, but then thought, nah, it's a bit late in the day. I fancy one more cosy night in the nest before I leave. Big mistake, because a little later on, we saw our tawny owl bringing a bird in to Spud. And when Spud jumps down into the box, you can see it's not just a bird, it is a fledgling song thrush. Now, at this point, of course, we've got no proof at all that that's the bird that's just fledged from our song thrush's nest. But what happened next at 11:06 was that the tawny owl returned. And obviously, you know, it would come to this nest and then grab those chicks. And that's what it did. And very rapidly, it killed the chicks in the nest using its talons, and then took hold of one of them and made its way out of the back of the nest. Now, okay, like I say, no proof that this is Spud's, parent of any kind. This could be just another tawny owl. However, I can tell you that these two nests are only 250 metres apart. So it's getting increasingly likely, isn't it? Obviously, the owl returns. Once it's got a source of food, it's going to come back until that source of food is completely exhausted. So here it comes back and takes another one of the chicks out. But tellingly, none of these are turning up at Spud's place at this point. A little later, it returns. And here, it's interesting to see that it doesn't take a chick. Now, there were 3 in there when it launched its first attack, and it's removed 2. Where's the third one? Maybe it bolted over the side to safety. Maybe it's somewhere in the bottom of that bush doing okay. Whatever, the owl leaves on this occasion empty-handed, having removed 2 of those youngsters. Still nothing at Spud's until 3:37, hours later, when a bird is brought in, and the evidence suggests that it was a young song thrush. And then the following afternoon, a long while later, we saw that, and that was undoubtedly a song thrush chick. Now, it's just too much of a coincidence. It's pretty obvious that the song thrushes were being removed there by one of Spud's parents. Obviously, the adults came back to check, but sadly their brood had been completely extinguished, and Spud was the profiteer.